हाँ जी।
Hi everyone, this is Projna Paromita Mitra from Canada, and thanks to Rajiva ji and to XENA World family for giving me an opportunity to speak here. Please pardon me if I got some part of the XENA thing wrong, because there are so many divisions of XENA family that sometimes I get confused. So today I'm going to talk about a topic. Let me get straight to the topic. It is called empathy. As it was mentioned in the heading of the topic, that empathy and how it is different from sympathy, right? Because a lot of people confuse empathy with sympathy. Whenever I say empathy, people think, oh, sympathy, I have lots of sympathy. Yeah, we should be sympathetic to others, etc., etc. But sympathy and empathy are very different. Only the THY is similar. Otherwise, they are miles and miles apart. In fact, there are situations where if you offer your sympathy, it can make the person receiving sympathy very upset. It can make them more upset than they were before. Because empathy and sympathy you offer usually in a situation of grief or sorrow. If you are happy, you are automatically spreading that happiness all around and everybody is happy. So nobody does much research on happiness, but people do a lot of research on grief and sorrow. That is why today I am here to talk about the difference between empathy and sympathy and why it is important more in today's society. Why in today's society? Because this society is technologically very advanced. And because of this technological advancement, our distance as human beings from each other has increased tremendously. I will give you an example. My family is here, but none of them is actually here around me, right? If I have to communicate with them, I will be texting them, okay? Or I will be calling them, even though we are all physically here, but we are not actually there for each other. And this is true for almost everyone, except if you live in villages where they have no option but to be together. So that's why we say, like anybody from a city or a town, when they go to the village, they feel, oh, village life is so good. People are so nice here. What is it that makes it nice? It is that sense of connectivity. And what is that connectivity? It is empathy. It is not sympathy. You know, if you sit with a villager, you can feel that connection between your heart and his or her heart. Like you can actually feel it. I don't know how many others can feel it, but maybe I have a seventh sense, but I can feel it very strongly. I can feel it so strongly that I can almost see it. I can see the invisible thread. I'm sure there are many people like me in this world. In fact, most of us are like this. That's why we are humans. But 90% of us are taught to suppress it. Even if we have it, we are not allowed to cultivate it. Okay. We are taught this in our school to suppress it. We are taught this in our work to suppress it. And when we go into adult relationships, we are taught to suppress it. When do you say two people fall in love? It is what actually is love. You don't have to fall in romantic love. You can fall in general love also. It is when somebody else is empathetic towards you. This term, this fancy term was not coined before, but it has been there forever. So when you feel that sense of connectivity, with someone, something. It can be an animal also, it can be a purpose also, and it can be another human being also. So this sense of connectivity, or human beings, so this sense of connectivity is what actually makes you feel alive. Okay. So like supposing somebody dies in your family, you will have many friends offering you sympathy. Oh, so sad, rest in peace, and this and that. So you might sometimes sit and think, okay, I have received condolences from so many people. On your birthday, so many people will wish you. So you will feel very happy. Okay, so many people have wished me a birthday. But even, even after that, you know what will actually make you feel happy? If there is at least one person in this world, or few people in this world, who genuinely feel your grief. They won't say anything, but if somebody has passed away in your family, they will feel it. They will be in your shoes. They won't be away from you and giving you words. They will be there with you in your shoes, and they will feel the grief with you. When you find somebody like this who feels the grief with you, that is when you have an empathetic connection. And that is what prevents depression, anxiety, stress, all kinds of negative human emotions, which we as a society are getting more prone to, because we do not have empathy. Empathy is not taught in school. We are taught to be competitive. If there is a person, if there is a child who is coming from a disadvantaged family, if he is not dressed properly, if he doesn't do his homework, he or she, what is the consequence? I am talking about the schools of my time. I do not know how it is in India, but in Canada, it has definitely changed, and it is the way I am telling. So in my times, that child will be ridiculed, okay? The teacher won't be kind. The teacher will just be bothered about the result, which is the homework. Why was the homework not done? Simple. Not like, why didn't you do the homework? That's it. But they are not actually interested in why. They are not interested to know why the child couldn't do homework. Maybe his or her parents were fighting. Maybe he or she had to do a lot of household chores. Okay. Maybe he or she didn't have enough to eat. So how will you study when you don't have enough to eat? There can be so many problems. Or maybe he just didn't feel like, because the teacher was so bad, he didn't understand the subject. His parents were not educated enough to teach him the subject. I know this because my parents were very educated. In my class, I was always coming first, but I also saw students who just did not get the bare minimum things. And I used to wonder why. And the teachers will be so mean to them. Oh my God, they will beat them. So that time, and I was very tall for my age also. And those children, they were very malnourished, you know, their growth was stunted, not because of anything genetic, but because they didn't get enough food to eat at the right time. So that used to pain me, but I could not express it to anyone except for my mom. And my mother said that you cannot solve everybody's problem, just focus on your homework. And she understood what I was trying to say. So I focused on my homework. I became teacher's pet. It was very easy to become teacher's pet. You just do your homework, you come first, and you wear your uniform nice, your shoes, your hair, your nails, everything is nice. You don't talk much in class. You are teacher's pet. It was as simple as that. So as a student, I'm doing my work, but as a teacher, were they doing their work? Was there a sense of empathy? So this lack of empathy in school, at that point, I didn't know the meaning of the word empathy. It used to bother me a lot. So I did not go out of my way to help those children because I did not know how to, but I used to get very angry at other children who will pick on those kind of disadvantaged children. And because I was so tall and strong, you can even call me fat at that time. So nobody will dare to uh, go against me. So I'm not trying to show myself as a hero. I'm just trying to show that why I feel empathy is important. So at that time, I used to feel, what if the teacher just became nice to the child, that will help that person so much. I can give you an example what happened to one such child. I was born 5 years after my parents' marriage. So my mother didn't have anybody to shower her love on. So they had a tiny servant who was like 8. I don't know why a child that age should be made a servant in the first place, because maybe his parents didn't have enough money to feed him. So anyway, my mother used to feed him a lot. Like she used to feed him mutton liver and whatnot. His name also I remembered, I forgot. Mohan, I think his name was. So Mohan, from a tiny kid, he became a strapping young man, like 6 feet 2. So my mother was saying, over the period of time, by the time he was 13, 14, I think. So my mother was saying that she was amazed to see the transformation in him. Like he was almost like her son. So anyway, he became very tall, strong, and he joined the army, and he joined the army when he was 16 and all that. My dad helped him. So what I'm trying to say, that empathy from even one person can make so much of difference in somebody's life. Okay. So if in India, the teachers are just very empathetic towards the children without caring about how much of tuition money they are earning. I mean, I can go there also, that why they are like that. That will help enormously, because here, anybody who comes from a very poor family and poor background, first of all, they are given free meal at school. Like underprivileged children who come to school, they at least get their meals there. So that motivates children to go there. I think this is there in India also. And also, teachers are very careful the way they speak. They don't speak in a way which can hurt their feelings or sensibilities. They try to go into the crux of the matter and find out why they are disadvantaged. Now, enough of school. Now, let me come to workplace. What happens in workplace when you come from a competitive school environment? You bring the same culture to workplace. So what happens? You are always very result oriented. Okay, bottom line is what that matters. If you don't meet your sales target, you will be fired. I am talking about a very simplistic work model. There are many layers of complications here. So it is a hire and fire culture. Except for in government jobs, everywhere else, it's a hire and fire culture. So almost everywhere. I should not say everywhere, because things again have changed in a lot of organizations, which I will come to. For one of them is Apple, which is very different from other organizations. I'm not sure about Google and other things, but Apple is I won't say anything bad about any organization. I will only say good about an organization whose work culture is supposed to be one of the best, and it is Apple. So what happens when in rest of the workplaces where the bosses are only focused on the bottom line, only focused on punctuality, only focused on how much of work they can extract from their employees, that leads to a feeling of disconnect between the employee and the employer, because the employer does not show any empathy towards the employee. They don't care that the employee is late, maybe because she has to keep her child in a daycare, or her parent is sick, or she had a fight with her husband. And the same thing is applicable for a male employee also. They are just bothered that why she didn't come on time, why she didn't make the report on time. But on the other hand, if her boss decides to stop by at her side and ask her that what happened, like, is there anything which is bothering her? Is that why she was late? She might waste, say, 15 or 20 minutes of his time by bawling out, like telling all her grief story. And if the boss listens to it patiently, the rest of the time, she might work, she will, not might, she will work very, very sincerely for her employer. She will consider that company as her own baby, and she will give it her best. It is so simple, like it is as simple as that. On the other hand, if the boss wants to be a so-called stereotypical boss type and doesn't want to know anything about, just concerned about bottom line, so at the most he will fire her after some time, and he will get another employee who he has to teach again from the scratch. So it's a lot of, in the long run, it is a lot of waste of the company's time and resources, because training a new employee is always more expensive than retaining an employee who has already been there. Maybe they are a little bit less punctual. Maybe they did not deliver something on time for one particular work, but it might be because of their personal problem. So here also the empathy factor works. Now let me come to personal life. So I have completed till work, I have completed school, I have completed work. In my 15 minutes of talk, now I will come to personal life. Now personal life, usually it has three components. One is the personal life which you have with your parents and siblings. Second, with your better half. And third, with your children. Now, in all these three things, empathy is very, very needed. So the relationship between parents and children and with your own parents, there is no lack of empathy. The problem comes when you're in your relation with your better half, or you can say worse half, depending on your equation with your partner. So there, most of the marriages, they actually break up, or relationships, they break up not because of cheating, it is because of lack of empathy. That basic thing, if it is present, like if one person gets into another person's shoe and understands what it feels like to be there, then these problems won't be there. So empathy is basically to be there with the other person in totality, not just in face value. That's why some people come across as artificial and some people don't, because it is empathy which differentiates them. If I am empathetic towards you, I won't need to say hi, hello, oh, I'm sorry, oh, that's so bad. I will just feel your pain, and you will know that I'm feeling your pain, and you will know that I'm there with you. Not maybe physically, I may not be able to help you financially, but I'm there with you. Sometimes that counts a lot. Nobody is actually looking for a financial help or solution to a problem. Everybody wants to be heard. Every human being wants to be first seen, like I see you, you see me, right? Acknowledge. then they want to be understood. You understand me, I understand you. And then they want to be appreciated. Okay, everybody wants to be appreciated. We don't have the ability to appreciate ourselves. We seek for appreciation from another person's, we want it reflected in another person's eye. That's what makes us feel good. Whatever you say, however Superman or Superwoman you become, you will always need appreciation from another individual. You come close to that person who appreciates you, always. It is a universal truth. You can test it yourself. And people who don't see you, who don't appreciate you, it doesn't matter who they are, what they are to you. You don't feel a sense of connection to them. Whether it's work, you don't feel a sense of connection to your employer. You don't feel a sense of connection to your school and hence the academics in it. You don't feel a connection to your spouse and hence you cheat. So if this sense of connection is missing, it is like you are living a life full of lies. You don't have to give anybody sympathy. You have to give empathy. Now let me come to the most important part, that why it is actually needed. It is actually needed because 50 years from now, everything will come under the control of artificial intelligence. Let the quantum computing take over. Then we will see so many jobs become redundant. So many jobs. You know, what kind of job will remain? Where there is empathy. Because humans can progress as much as they want, but empathy will always remain with humans, and it can never be taken over by artificial intelligence. They can give you sympathy. They won't be able to give you empathy. So the only way for humans to survive is to let the empathy factor develop more, because our society has changed. We do not have to remain in a society which was even there in the 90s and 80s. Everything has changed. The school has to change. It has started changing here. The universities have to change. Otherwise, students are committing suicide left, right, and center. And adults have to change. Otherwise, what they do, they either kill themselves or kill others. You can kill using gun, you can kill by other means also, but basically you are spreading unhappiness because you are so unhappy yourself, because you are so lonely yourself, because there is no empathy, there is no sense of connectivity. Everybody is superficial. And when a human learns to develop, when everybody learns to develop this quality of empathy, that is when we will still be bosses and not artificial intelligence. Otherwise, whatever is happening in the world is nothing compared to what can happen if we are not empathetic, and slowly everywhere artificial intelligence will take over. Because right now, even right now, I don't have to think much. Facebook knows what are my likes and dislikes. YouTube knows what are my likes and dislikes. Even on emotional level, it knows. It directs me towards that. So who knows in what else it will know about me. But what will keep me to me is my feeling of being empathetic and feeling of, and this knowing the difference between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is very superficial. Empathy is very internal. So sympathy is, I'll just end my talk by giving a very simplistic definition. I like to give simplistic definition, not because I do not know big words, because there's a saying which I like very much. It is called, keep it simple, stupid. Like the more knowledgeable and aware you are, the more simplistic way you present your things. I have seen this in many places. I'm not saying that I'm very knowledgeable, because there is no end to knowledge, but that is what I have learned, that I like to learn from those people who keep things very simple. And when I have gone and done research, I have found that those people are actually more highly qualified and educated than those who put things in a very complicated manner. So the simplistic view of empathy and sympathy is this. You see somebody wearing uncomfortable shoes and walking, and you say, oh, so sad. Is it hurting? Your shoe pinches? Oh, that's very bad. Oh, you must change your shoes. So that is called sympathy. And empathy is, okay, let me see how it feels to walk in your shoes. Let me see where it pinches. So this is like, then you just get into their shoes and you see the life from their perspective. Okay, so that is called empathy. So when this culture of empathy, which permeates our whole society, then we will like progress more as a human at a different level. Now we don't seem to be progressing at all. We are only scared of artificial intelligence taking over, and we are scared of other things which are happening in the world, which is also because of this, because there is always a sense of competition, one up on the another person, one up on another nation, one up on everybody else. We will all perish if we are trying to be one up instead of trying to help each other. That is how human society has to evolve. I mean, there is no other option. Otherwise, we can just eat each other up. So there are only that many options for a living being to continue. And I still have 2 minutes. So I will talk about infinite game and finite game. There's something called game theory, which demonstrates empathy very properly. So in finite game is football, cricket, regular organization, where you know what are your goals. You have a set way of doing things. You have rules. You cannot deviate from rules. The rules are fixed, and you have an outcome, win or lose. That is called finite game. So we are all stuck in finite game, including companies. What is in infinite game, which only Apple is playing? Infinite game is you play because you like to play. You do not want to win. Your aim is not to win the game, but to keep the game going. That is called infinite game. So when infinite game person and finite game person meet, that is a disaster. So infinite game and infinite game can go together. Finite game and finite game can go together, but infinite game and finite game cannot go together. So, and the world is progressing, should be towards the infinite game, not towards finite game. The culture of finite game is over. It is game up for finite game. It has to be infinite game, where you are there and you want the society to progress. You don't want to win against each other. You want to help each other because you want to keep on playing. You want to keep on progressing. So I am very happy to say that I was able to say whatever I wanted to say in this short amount of time. This topic is not small and short. It can cover days and days, and it can involve a lot of research, but because this is just a beginning, so I think I have said what I had to say, and I hope I did not offend anyone, and I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful that I have empathy, and I hope everybody else also develops or recognizes it. Thank you very much.